From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America. Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, here's a look at the latest headlines. Israeli airstrikes kill 3 Hezbollah commanders after its fighter jets carry out attacks deep inside Lebanon. This after Hezbollah fired 50 rockets into northern Israel. South Korean troops fire warning shots after almost 20 North Korean soldiers briefly crossed the border. South Korea says the incursion was likely accidental. A man stabs and wounds 4 American college instructors working in China on a university exchange program. Beijing calls the attack a random incident. Former President Donald Trump completes his mandatory interview with probation officers from the New York City Police Department. Trump's sentence in the hush money trial will be on the 11th of July, exactly 1 month from today. And Malawi's Vice President Saulus Chilima dies after his plane crashes into a hill due to bad weather. Malawi's army confirms the death of 9 other passengers on board the aircraft. We begin right here in the United States. President Joe Biden is considering negotiating directly with Hamas for the release of American hostages still being held captive in Gaza. Now, according to a report citing at least 4 U.S. officials, the negotiations would be held via Qatari mediators and would not involve Israel. Now, while the White House has declined to comment, the report cited the Biden administration officials are unsure of what Washington would exactly give to Hamas in exchange. There are at least 5 American hostages that are still being held captive by Hamas in Gaza. And following the report, the parents of a young Israeli American hostage called for the release of their child.
You hear rumors today that the United States is negotiating something or might. I would not be surprised if either at the same time or soon thereafter we hear about Germany and Argentina and so many of the other countries whose citizens are also being held. Whatever it takes to get everybody home, we support.
Now, upon learning of this new development, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed the possibility of unilateral negotiations. Netanyahu is already under intense pressure from family members of hostages to secure a deal. In fact, earlier this week, Israeli officials estimated that nearly 120 hostages continue to remain in captivity out of at least 43 that may have already died.
We have called on all countries to put as much pressure on Hamas as they possibly can to release the hostages, whether they have citizens, dual Israeli citizens, or their citizens in Hamas captivity. We're calling on all countries to do whatever they can to get hostages out.
Now on Monday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken shuttled between Egypt and Israel, pushing for a truce in Gaza. Secretary of State Blinken first met Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi before flying to Israel to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu. On his 8th trip to the Middle East since the onset of the war, Secretary Blinken called on countries in the region to pressure Hamas to approve the ceasefire draft outlined by President Biden.
My message to governments throughout the region, to people throughout the region is, if you want a ceasefire, press Hamas to say yes. If you want to alleviate the terrible suffering of Palestinians in Gaza, press Hamas to say yes. If you want to get all the hostages home, press Hamas to say yes.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council also backed the ceasefire plan proposed by President Biden. At least 14 Security Council members voted in favor, while Russia abstained. The resolution put forward by President Biden made headway until Netanyahu refused to halt military activity in Gaza, forcing the Biden administration to rethink its strategy by directly talking to Hamas. And moving to the war in Europe, Ukraine says it destroyed one of Russia's most advanced stealth fighter jets in a drone strike deep inside Russia on Sunday. Kyiv targeted the Sukhoi Su-57 fighter jet at the airbase in Russia's Astrakhan region, which is almost 370 miles from the front lines. Ukraine's military intelligence agency also shared multiple satellite pictures to support the claim. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian military says the destroyed plane was among a countable few of its type in Russia's arsenal. Now, according to Russian state media, Moscow received its first Su-57 fighter jet in 2020 and added more than 10 new planes to its fleet last year. The Su-57 is a supersonic twin-engine fifth-generation stealth fighter jet that is seen as Russia's answer to Western stealth jets such as the F-22 Raptor used by the U.S. Air Force. The latest drone strike marks another success for the Ukraine's low-cost drones taking out Russian high-value assets. The price of the Su-57 fighter jet is estimated to be between $35 million to $54 million. Ukraine has also used its drones to attack other high-value targets, including sinking or severely damaging Russian warships in the Black Sea. So far, the Kremlin has not commented on the latest Ukrainian strike. Meanwhile, a Russian military plane breached Finland's airspace for the first time since the Nordic country joined NATO last year. Helsinki says the Russian aircraft flew at least 1.5 miles inside its airspace on Monday. Russia has, in fact, confirmed that it has multiple bombers and missile carriers operating in the Baltic region, but has not specifically commented on the alleged airspace breach. Now, Ukraine's strike and Russia's airspace breach come as the United States, France, and Germany have allowed Kyiv to use their weapons to strike inside Russia. Meanwhile, Germany is also hosting a two-day conference to gather support for Ukraine's recovery in a signal of solidarity. So with the NATO countries extending their full support to Ukraine, Vladimir Putin now has to worry not just about the front line, but also about strikes inside his country. And returning to the United States, where a dangerous Venezuelan gang is slowly making inroads into the country. The notorious crime syndicate is infamous for extortion, kidnapping, murder, and human trafficking. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is already actively tracking the gang's activities in several states, including New York, Florida, Texas, and Louisiana. Our next report gets you more details about the Venezuelan cartel and the danger it poses to Americans.
A crime wave is raising fears across the United States. Whether it's the mysterious killing of a police officer in Florida or the sexual extortion of a woman in Louisiana, several such unrelated crimes have been found to have one common link: a dangerous transnational criminal gang called Tren de Aragua. The name of the gang translates to Aragua train in English, and it originated in the Aragua state of the South American nation of Venezuela. Reports say members of the gang adopted the name between 2013 and 2015, but began its operations years before. The gang's leadership operated out of the Tocoron prison in Aragua up until last year, when Venezuelan authorities raided the facility and found several restaurants and a swimming pool inside the prison walls, along with machine guns, automatic rifles, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. However, the authorities could not find Tren de Aragua's leader, Nino Guerrero. An Interpol Red Notice warns that the mastermind's whereabouts are unknown, and among the countries he could be in is the United States. The notorious gang is infamous for drug and human trafficking, extortion, kidnapping, and murder. The Venezuelan gang has expanded its operations throughout Central and South America, most prominently in Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, and Peru. It has a history of going into local economies and taking over the criminal underground using excessive force. Members of Tren de Aragua shoot victims captured by rival gangs and perform the executions live on social media in order to establish their presence. In Colombia, the gang operates sex trafficking networks. The group exploits Venezuelan migrants and internally displaced Colombians in sex trafficking, taking advantage of their economic vulnerabilities and subjecting them to debt bondage. And now, the criminal syndicate has made its way to North America. The FBI says the gang has followed migration paths and is now established in the US. US border officials have confirmed multiple arrests of the alleged gang members over the last year. Tren de Aragua is named in almost 70 cases in law enforcement documents. So far, the group has been found to be operating in the US states of Louisiana, Texas, Virginia, New Jersey, Florida, Georgia, New York, and Illinois. Even former President Donald Trump has commented on the rise of the gang violence. He claims crime rates in Venezuela have dropped as the country is sending gang members to the United States. His remark comes just months after a group of Republican congressmen sent a letter to President Joe Biden and urged him to designate Tren de Aragua as a transnational criminal organization. So, with the Venezuelan gang spreading its operations in the US, it remains to be seen how President Biden will react to his latest threat.
And now from the business world, billionaire Elon Musk has warned that Apple devices, including iPhones, could be banned at his companies. Musk criticized the tech giant's recent announcement to integrate OpenAI's ChatGPT into Apple's operating system, iOS. In a series of posts on his social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, Musk declared the potential ban as he termed Apple's move an unacceptable security violation. Now, Musk went as far as to say that any visitors to his companies will have to leave their Apple devices at the door, where they will be stored in a cage that blocks all digital signals from coming in or going out. Now, Apple, at its Worldwide Developers Conference on Monday, unveiled its long-awaited strategy as it announced the integration of OpenAI's ChatGPT with its digital assistant Siri. In his 2-hour-long presentation, Apple CEO Tim Cook advertised how Siri would be able to interact with messages, emails, calendar, and third-party apps using AI.
This is a moment we've been working towards for a long time. We're tremendously excited about the power of generative models. And there are already some really impressive chat tools out there that perform a vast array of tasks using world knowledge. But these tools know very little about you or your needs. With iOS 18, iPadOS 18, and macOS Sequoia, we are embarking on a new journey to bring you intelligence that understands you.
However, Elon Musk argues that such an integration would violate user data. Taking a swipe at the iPhone maker, the Tesla CEO said that Apple wasn't smart enough to make its own artificial intelligence. Neither Apple or OpenAI have responded to Elon Musk's comments. However, during the integration announcement, the iPhone maker did place emphasis on user safety.
Data is never stored or made accessible to Apple. It's used exclusively to fulfill your request. And just like your iPhone, independent experts can inspect the code that runs on these servers to verify this privacy promise.
Now, Elon Musk had co-founded OpenAI back in 2015. However, in 2018, he stepped down as the co-chair due to a conflict of interest. And in March of this year, Musk sued OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman, saying they abandoned the startup's original mission to develop artificial intelligence for the benefit of humanity. Since then, Musk has founded his own artificial intelligence startup in a bid to challenge OpenAI and build an alternative to the viral chatbot ChatGPT. And our final story is about an ongoing bloody war in southwest Mexico's Michoacan. Avocado farmers have taken up arms in a desperate bid to reclaim their livelihoods from violent drug cartels. As the demand for this beloved superfood skyrockets, so has the influence of cartels over the lucrative avocado industry. But farmers are saying not so fast. and are fighting back against extortion, violence, and environmental destruction brought by cartel influence. Our final report takes you inside the ongoing conflict.
Avocados were once insignificant, but in the 21st century, they entered the mainstream agriculture. They became a highly sought-after superfood. In the US, avocado consumption quadrupled, leading to a tenfold increase in demand. The Mexican state of Michoacán is the world's most important avocado-producing region. It saw production rise from about 800,000 tons in 2003 to over 1.8 million tons in 2022. Approximately 4 out of 5 avocados consumed in the US are grown in Michoacán. Initially, the farmers managed the entire process from production to export. However, Mexican drug cartels soon entered the avocado business. The high demand for avocados attracted the cartels. Beyond their typical activities of drug smuggling and human trafficking, they stepped into the lucrative avocado industry, eventually turning it violent. The avocado exports from Mexico bring in a business of $2.8 billion annually. And drug cartels exert an extraordinary influence on the industry. They levy taxes on the country's avocado growers. They also seek to control commodity prices through price manipulation. According to estimates, the cartels put a tax of about $50 per hectare per month. And in turn, the cartels provide farmers with protection and better assistance than the government. They also often take care of the families involved in avocado agriculture. However, the involvement of drug cartels has destabilized the industry. It has led to violent confrontations between cartels and farmers. The conflict-ridden avocado trade is also linked to illegal deforestation, child slave labor, and violent clashes involving military-grade weapons. According to estimates, 40% of the forests in Michoacán are being purposefully cleared to make way for avocado groves. Forests are set ablaze or leveled by chainsaws, quickly and indiscriminately. Planters then plant avocado saplings onto the barren earth. But there's a limit to everything. The farmers have gotten tired of cartel repression and environmental degradation. Many have formed vigilante groups and picked up weapons. They have also launched armed campaigns against these drug cartels. Some farmers have achieved success, and many are stockpiling illegal weapons. This has led to the rise of community policing initiatives. Various localities in Michoacán have adopted their own governance models. They have democratically elected councils, militarized environmental commitments, and banned political parties. Mexico's farmers have shown a big avocado to their government. This farmer-led administration focuses on environmental protection. Some have even outlawed avocado cultivation on communal forest land to preserve soil health. Locals are also cultivating avocados sustainably as water shortage remains a major environmental issue. While avocados have become a popular superfood, their high demand has brought significant challenges, including cartel violence and environmental degradation. However, sustainable cultivation and community resilience offer hope. And Mexico is a prime example where farmers are taking matters into their own hands when the government couldn't. So the next time you eat guacamole or an avocado toast, remember the plight of the Mexican farmers who are fighting the bloody avocado war against drug cartels.
That's all we have time for today. We certainly thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden. How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.